Good morning, everyone. All right, thank God this week we finished what we were doing in Devar Malchut and also in Likuti Torah. So here is a speech given by the Lubavitcher Rebbe. It's in Likuti Sichot, book number 38. 38. And it is a speech given in 1973. It takes a sentence from this week's Torah portion where Balak is praising the Jewish people and blessing the Jewish people against his will. And it comes from a sentence like this. Let's see if I can bring up the sentence here. Here we go. The sentence. It's chapter 24, sentence 19. And it's talking about how Yaakov is going to rule. There's going to be a Yerid Miyakov. A ruler is going to come from Jacob, Moshiach. Vayerid Miyakov. It's a strange language though. Vayerid Yaakov. It says Vehavid, and he will destroy the remembrance from a major city. And it says, what's that city? It's going to be Rome. It says it's Rome because that's the big enemy of the Jewish people is Rome. Here, let's see what Rashi says. See, it says Vayerid Miyakov, Va'od, and also there will be another ruler from Jacob. And that's going to be the Mashiach. It says Ve'evid Shrid Meir, and he will destroy the remainders of a city. What is the city? A Chashuva, an important city. An important city. Which city is the important city? Let's get my pointer over here. Which city is the important city? So he says Edom. The city of Edom, which Edom is Rome. Because the Romans, they were the ones who destroyed the second temple. We've been in exile for Rome. It says, Al Melech HaMashiach, Omar Kane. He's speaking about the Melech HaMashiach. Shenermar Bo, that it says about him, Vayerid miyom ad yom. He will rule from the sea to the sea. V'lo yiyeh sarid lebeit Esav. And there will be nothing left of the house of Esav. In other words, there won't be any more opposition to the Jews from the world. Because Mashiach says he will rule Vayered. So that's where this word comes from. Vayered, he will rule from the sea to the sea. Sea to the sea. Something like what all these people are chanting, from river to the sea. And they don't know which river, they don't know which sea. But King David did know which river and which sea. And King David was also talking about the Mashiach. He says the Mashiach is going to rule basically the whole world, from the ocean to the ocean. Okay, so he brings the sentence, Vayered miyom al yom. This is from King David. It's in Psalms 72, Psalm number 72. Good? Yes. Now let's go back. This is what's going to be talked about here. So here we have the sentence that Bilam said, Vayered Miyakov, there will be a ruler from Jacob, and he's talking about the Mashiach, and he's going to rule. Vayered, this word is a strange word. Vayered means he will rule. Like King David says, he will rule from the ocean, to the sea, whatever. Okay, let's see what this means. Here we go. It says, Vayered miyom al ad yom. He will rule from the sea to the sea. And the continuation of the sentence in Psalms is Uminahar ba'ad afse oretz, and from the river to the ends of the earth. Okay, we're going to see what this means. Strange language that the Mashiach, first of all, it's not very clear. It says the Mashiach will rule from the sea to the sea. Which city? Which sea? And from the river to the ends of the earth. Which river? Which ends? Okay. Pirish Rashi, this is what we just finished learning. Rashi explains, he uses this sentence in our Torah portion, where it says, Pasuk said that this sentence refers to the Melech HaMashiach, the King Mashiach. And this is the intention in the prophecy of Bilam. Vayered Yaakov, there will be a ruler from Yaakov, that he will rule. It's talking about the Mashiach, that he's going to rule from the sea to the sea, and from the river to the ends of the earth. This is what Rashi says. We just finished learning this, right? That's what we just finished learning. But and there will further be another ruler from Jacob, and it's speaking about the Melech HaMashiach. Because it says about Mashiach, Vayered miyom ad yom, that he will rule from the sea to the sea. And also we find the same thing in the prophet, and the Rebbe is saying now, we find the same thing also in the language of the prophecy of Zechariah. I mean, the Berish, there it speaks clearly about Mashiach. Here it doesn't say, it just says there will be a ruler and he will rule. And also King David, it also says he will rule from the sea. It doesn't say clearly of Mashiach, but Zechariah talks clearly about Mashiach. And it says, V'hine malkacha bo, behold, your king will come. Ani, he will be poor, rochev al chamor, riding on a donkey. And he will rule, and his rulership will be miyam ad yam, for the sea to the sea, uminar, and from the river ad afse, or it's to the ends of the earth. Of course, Zechariah came about 400 years after King David. So King David said it first, but here Zechariah is saying clearly this is talking about the Mashiach. And it's also brought in the Rambam, in Maimonides, Moses ben Maimon, that's just a cold and dried law book. And he explains in the end of his book that Mashiach is going to come. Everybody has to believe in him. Any Jew that does not believe in him and await his coming is denying the whole entire Torah. And it says, what's the Mashiach going to do? And he lists over there the criteria of Mashiach. He's going to have to be a person that knows the whole Torah, and he teaches the whole Torah, and he does all the commandments, and he inspires everyone to do the commandments, and he fights against anything that weakens Judaism, and he tries to teach the Torah to everybody, strengthens the Torah. That's anyone who tries to do these things we can suppose he's the Mashiach. That's what the Rambam says. And he says, Vakarkar, but what if he is going to succeed? What's a success? Vakarkar kol b'nei Sheit. He says he will destroy all the people of Sheit. This is the Melech HaMashiach, like it says, U'mashlu miyom ad yom. That says he will rule from the sea to the sea. Okay, so why does it always keep using this term from the sea to the sea? It's very sort of, how do they call it, nondescript. Well, but Pashtus, and simply the intention is talking about the Melech Mashiach will be a ruler. Rodeh u'moshel b'kol olam kulo, that he will rule and control the whole entire world. We'll compare it like it says the Rav Avadia, the Rav, the Eben Ezra, Eben Ezra, and he says, Miyam Hadromi, from the southernmost sea, which is called Yom HaAdom, which is called the Red Sea, Ad Yom HaTzafon, to the northernmost sea, which is called Yom HaUnknius, which is called the Unknius, I guess the Atlantic Ocean River. Uminar, which river is talking about? He's talking about the river that came from Eden. Remember in the beginning of the creation? He said that a river went out from Eden and it watered the garden. So Eden is some spiritual level, but it's found in the world. Anyway, it says in the beginning of creation that there was a river that came out from Eden and watered the garden where Adam was. Shehu b'tchilas Mizrach, this is the most eastern part. Ad Avse Oretz, this is the end of the western part. Okay, exactly geographically, I don't know where this is talking about, but Eben Ezra says that it implies that Mashiach will rule over geographically the whole world. Now, when it says he will rule, it doesn't mean he's going to rule with an iron hand, because how can one person rule with the iron hand? I mean, how many soldiers could he possibly have? It means that he'll rule that the whole entire world will realize that his advice is the proper one. So everyone will go according to his directions. Okay. So Tzurich Bir. Okay, so we're talking about now. In Bilam made a prophecy, and he said that the Mashiach is going to Vayered. He will Vayered. It says Rashi. It says the Mashiach. What do we have it? It says Vayered Miyakov. That's what near the end of the prophecy of Bilam. So he said that Mashiach is going to come and he will be a leader from Jacob, and he's going to rule from the sea to the sea. And so it also says in Psalms that the Mashiach will rule from the sea to the sea. And it says in Zechariah, the same thing is going to rule from the sea to the sea. And the Rambam says also he's going to rule from the sea until the sea. Okay, so what exactly does this mean? And the Ibn Ezra also says Mashiach is going to rule from the sea to the sea. What does it mean? We have to explain, understand. Why does it say King David? Why does he say in Psalms that the Mashiach is going to rule? It's in Psalm number 72, that the Mashiach is going to rule from the sea to the sea and from the river to the ends of the world. Why doesn't he just say that the Mashiach is going to rule over the whole world? Okay, or something similar. In general, Lama Lahaskir Ayomim, why even mention that Mashiach is going to rule from the sea to the sea? Just say he's going to rule the world. Or let's just say he's going to rule from the north to the south, from the east to the west. What does it mean from the sea to the sea? So obviously it must be telling us something important about Mashiach. It's the language used by King David. It's the language used by Zechariah. It's the language the Ibn Ezra explains, uses from the sea to the sea. Hare Malchuta Shel Mashiach, the rulership of the Mashiach will be on not from the sea to the sea, it'll be on all the land. Yoshvei Teva, on the people that rule. One of the main things of Mashiach is going to be a great teacher, and he's going to give everybody, like King Solomon was, but even greater. It says in King Solomon's time, everyone came to him for wisdom. He gave direction to the whole world. And part of his directions were don't make war. And nobody benefits from it. And if somebody does benefit, they just benefit temporarily, right? And that only one side benefits, and the other side, of course, loses. So make peace. So in the time of King Solomon, the whole world was peaceful. King Solomon, why? Because of his wisdom. Well, Mashiach is even going to be wiser, and he's going to advise everyone what exactly they're supposed to, and everyone will accept it. So it means he's going to rule over mankind. His directives will rule over all of mankind. What does it mean he's going to rule over the sea? Who is going to rule over the fish? What was he talking about? Obviously not. So let's see, why does King David and Zechariah, why do they use the language that the Mashiach will rule over from the sea to the sea? And also King David adds on from the river to the end of the world. Explanation. We can explain this according to the teachings of Chassidut, according to the words of the first Rebbe of Chabad. First Rebbe of Chabad. Where is this in our Torah portion? Where is this? Here it goes. In the Tanya. In the Tanya, in the beginning of chapter Lamed Zayin. Over there it talks about Mashiach, and it says that Shashlemus the Yemot Mashiach, that the completion that is going to be achieved in the days of the Mashiach depends on Masenu V'Avodotenu, on our deeds and our work serving God, calls Zaman Meshach Galus, all of these 2,000 years of exile. Now, when Mashiach comes, what's going to happen when Mashiach comes? First of all, the world is going to change a bit. It's going to be like the difference between a sick person and a healthy person. And people will be more aware that they're being created, and they'll be more positive because then everyone will feel worthwhile and unique. It's going to be a little bit different than right now. But that's the idea of Mashiach. It says something like when people go to the Holy Temple, they would feel they were being created. They would feel the Creator. They would feel empowered to serve the Creator. That'll be the main occupation of the world, is to know God and to serve God. Maimonides says, So instead of working for yourself and working for your money or for your pleasure, whatever, people work for the Creator, and the Creator wants us to work for ourselves also, but according to His standards. So we've talked about this a lot. But all of the service that we've done in the whole time of the exile, what's the exile? When God is not felt, where you don't feel God, where there's all these other weird religions and philosophies and policies, and there's anti-God and anti-Semites, whatever that means, anti-Jew, anti-Torah. So that's what the time of exile is. There's all these doubts and confusion. So it says, when Jews are steadfast in their service of the Creator through these 2,000 years, that's what will bring to the Mashiach. Okay, so serving God, as we've learned since we begin these classes, means that you have to change yourself. You have to change yourself. You have to work on yourself. Good. Okay, so it says, bringing the whole idea of bringing Mashiach that will improve and heal the entire world from its ignorance and its selfishness, bringing Mashiach, it depends on the work of the Jews through the 2,000 years that we've been in exile, almost 2,000, since the temple has been destroyed. By means of learning Torah and doing the commandments, bikolo shama'u, in listening to God's voice, we prepare the whole entire world, and the Jews especially, for the ultimate purpose of the creation, namely that the world should be like it was before Adam ate from the tree, even better. The days of the Mashiach. The cave, and since Shemitah Shel Kodesh Baruch Hu, since the attributes of God are Mida Keneged Mida, one thing that God does is God reacts to what we do. So it's moving. That's what Chassidut teaches. So what we do, God reacts. So He doesn't always react the way we want, and it doesn't react when we want, because we've been 2,000 years in this terrible concealment. But nevertheless, God, that's the way God set up the world. God made the whole world on His own until He made man. When He made man, so He said, okay, now you're my partner. I'm going to react to you. So God is what we call Mida Keneged Mida. God is like a mirror. He reflects what we give to Him. So it says, so therefore, our work and our service of God that brings to the days of the Mashiach. So Mashiach is a result, it's a reflection of what we do. So if so, we have to serve God now in a way which is similar to the way that He's going to reveal Himself. It has to be similar to the upper worlds and the state of the world, how it will be when Mashiach comes, when it will be perfected. So, Zot Omer, in other words, in order to reach the Gilui Malchuta, to the revelation of the Mashiach, that's going to be from the sea to the sea and from the river until the ends of the earth, right? That's what it says in Psalms, right? Psalm 72. So in order to achieve this revelation is because of us, because the revelation is going to be in the future. This is a reaction to what we do now. So let's see what do we have to do? Here we go. This is going to explain why it talks about water and rivers. So therefore, in order for Mashiach to come and that God should be revealed from the sea to the sea and from the river to the ends of the world, there has to be an individual service of each and every Jew similar to this, from the sea to the river to the ends of the world. What's it talking about? What is it? We'll see. The Yom Talk, we can answer this, or we can, how do you say, we can give a pleasant answer according to what we say like this. It says, there's a book which is called Ma'or Einayim, from the Rebbe of Chernobyl. I think Mordechai of Chernobyl, Rebbe of Chernobyl. And he brings down, he was one of the pupils of the Baal Shem Tov. He brought it down from the Baal Shem Tov, and it said like this: Shetzorich kol echad miYisrael, that each and every Jew, must taken olehechin chelik komat Mashiach, a little bit of the, say, the body, the spiritual body of the Mashiach, which is relevant to his soul. Okay, Mashiach, we're going to see in a minute. What do we say Mashiach is going to do? Mashiach is going to reveal the creator and the creation. It's going to bring about that every human being is going to want to serve the creator, right? Like Adam. Adam was put into the world, says, God put him into the world to work on it and to preserve it. So that's the essence of the Jewish soul, is this inner desire to serve God, which is more important than anything. The inner desire to serve God, which that was, how did that begin? With Abraham. God told him, you want to serve me? And Abraham, sure, I'll do anything. Says, you like your children? Of course, I love my children. Which one do you love the best? Yitzchak, he is my favorite. I love him. Okay, take him and sacrifice him. Abraham said, okay. And if you say God, I'll do it. Because the whole essence of his being was to serve God. If God wants such a crazy, weird thing like this, who am I to say no? That's the essence of the Jewish soul. That's what's called Yechida. So if you want to be revealed the essence of God in the world, so each person has to, so the Mordechai of Chernobyl said, you have to fix up that little part of Mashiach which is inside of you. Like we said before, in another place, the hint of this in the revealed Torah, in the Jerusalem Talmud, it says, Dorach Kochav Miyakov. It was another blessing over here in that Bilam gave, Dorach Kochav Miyakov. Maybe we'll even find it. Should we find it? It says, no. Okay, it doesn't bring why. Okay, it says Dorach Kochav B'Yakov. That this is another a part of the prophecy of Bilam that we have over here. So it says there's going to come a star. Where is this? One second. Yes. Oh, I'm sorry. Maybe I skipped a little bit over. Did I do? Yeah. No. Here, Dorach Kochav Miyakov. It says that there will come a star from Jacob. It's in the same sentence we had over here before. Let's see. Maybe we can go back to it. Let's not get confused here. Here. No, okay. Sorry, one second. Give me a minute. Let me find the sentence over here. Where's the sentence? The sentences are very similar one to the other. So, yeah. Excuse me, Zion. Oh, here it is. Yes. Here, it says, Bilam says, this is right before the sentence that we brought before. I see him and not now. I view him and not near. There will come a star from Jacob, and there will be a ruler from Israel. It's talking about Mashiach. So it says it's talking about Mashiach, but it's also talking about every Jew. Here we go. So it says, that's what it goes. Dorach Kochav B'Yakov, there will come a star from Jacob. That's talking about Mashiach. And in the Jerusalem Talmud, it says this refers to every Jew. And another place in the Yerushalmi, and also other places in the Torah, it says it's talking about the Mashiach. So is this talking about a star will come from Jacob? Is talking about every Jew? Or is it talking about Mashiach? So the answer is that yes, it is. We're talking about every single Jew has a little part of Mashiach inside of him. Every Jew. Like it's also explained in the Tanya, that the revelation of the inner point of the heart of every Jew, this is his attachment to God above understanding, above knowledge. In other words, I want to serve God like Abraham did, above understanding. And that's what's called Hesach Hadat, above understanding, above logic. This is, like it says, V'yitziat Ashechina B'chalalot Miagalut. This is like taking God's presence in general for the whole world. It says that when the Jews go into exile, that God goes into exile with them. So it means that whatever the status of the Jews is, that's the status of God. So it comes out from here that, first of all, the Jews have to release themselves from their inner exile, and then God will reveal himself and take us out of our external exile as well. And then the whole world will benefit. But it all depends on our doing our work. So this sentence that's talking about Mashiach will rule from the sea to the sea, we have to accomplish this first inside of us. Oh, what is this? What do we have to do first? According to this, now we can say that what it says, Vayered, that the Mashiach will rule from the sea to the sea and from the river to the ends of the earth, right? In Psalm 72, it says, Ki kedei, in order to merit to the completion of the revelation of the Mashiach in the whole entire world, so that there shouldn't be any more wars or famines or sickness or disease or the what is it, the addictions and depression and things like that, that the whole world should be a meaningful place. Is tzorich liot, there has to be, first of all, it depends on us, and we have to simulate this me'ayin zeh ba'avoda in our service of God. We have to redeem ourselves first. That's the nitzutz Mashiach, that's the spark of the Mashiach, which is inside of every single Jew, the inner point of the heart. But tzorich liot, there has to be rodeh, this inner point of our being has to rule and control all of the other aspects of our personality. And when that happens, then it'll be God will react in a big way from outside. McCaven, since that the main things of a person are divided from sea to sea and from the river to the end of the earth. As soon as that happens, that we rule in ourselves from sea to sea to the river to the ends of the earth, and we'll see what that means in a second. Then Mashiach, that sums up what our personalities are, what our soul is. Our whole being can be summed up by from sea to sea until the river to the ends of the earth. Therefore, by Mashiach, it says the same thing, because what we do with ourselves, that's what brings Mashiach. Okay, what do we have to do? Here we go. Explanation. This division we said from the sea to sea and the river to the end of the earth. How is this found inside of us? What do we have to do? We have to fix up from the sea to the sea and from the river to the end of the earth inside of us. And when we do that, then Mashiach is going to be revealed. Okay, how? And do that to the whole world. What do we have to do? Where's the sea inside of us? From the sea to the sea and the river to the end of what do we have to do? The difference between the sea, the ocean, and the earth is Yam, the sea, Mora indicates al devarim amechusim, on things that are concealed. Just like the fish in the sea, they're covered by the sea. Right? Inside of the sea, there's all these fish and weird things, the octopuses and things like that, and you don't see anything. That's like the concealed worlds. The upper worlds, there's all these angels, we don't see them. Earth is talking about revealed things. Now here, first of all, we're talking about our personality, and that's going to reveal godliness. So in our personality, there's things that are concealed, like the sea, and there's things that are revealed like the earth. Okay, so it says one minute, just one moment. Things that are revealed in the service of man. Yam, the idea of the sea, this refers to the soul powers of a person in the soul. Eretz means how we act in the world. right? So there's how we relate to the world, and then there is our soul, who we are, our inner emotions, our intellect. That's the sea and the earth. Regarding the sea, the hidden parts of our personality that others don't see, right? Others, our emotions, or this, they rarely come out. Sometimes we ourselves don't know, right? Sometimes things make us angry. It just pops up. Road rage. We didn't even know we had things. Things make us depressed. In regard to the sea, so we've got to fix up inside of us all the hidden parts and all the revealed parts, the sea and the dry land. Let's see. In regard to the sea, it says miyam ad yam, from the sea to the sea, from the ocean to the ocean. There's two types of hidden parts of our personality. Shabem tzarich liot haridi, that we have to rule over and control. Yesh laba'er. Let's explain, what is this? What are these two oceans inside of us that we have to use to serve God? This, let's go back to the prophecy we had of Zechariah. It says, Vahaya bayomahu. It says, on that day, Yatzu will come out, Mayim Chayim Miyerushalayim. Living water will come from Jerusalem. Chetziom El Hayom. Kodmini. Half will come to the primordial sea, and half will come to the last sea. That's what it says in Zechariah. So there's going to be two types of seas. It's the first sea, first ocean, and the last ocean. Again, and it will be on that day, we're talking about Moshiach, that there will come living water from Jerusalem. Half of it will go to the first sea, first ocean, and second will go to the last ocean, Yam Acharon. Alpiz, according to this, maybe we can explain like this, that the two oceans which are inside of us that we have to use to serve God, and that then God will react and he'll reveal his hidden part. Well, it says, these two oceans that are speaking about Mashiach, these two oceans, I'm sorry, the first ocean and the last ocean, this is the Mashiach that King David was referring to. Also, miyom al yom, he will rule from sea to sea. This is talking about the first ocean that Zechariah talked about, and the last ocean. The first of all the seas, oceans, and the last, what's it talking about? In the service of man. It says the first ocean is Reshit Kol HaKochot. We said the ocean are your hidden powers that we have to control and use for the service of God. What are our hidden powers? The first one is the highest. The first ocean is the highest of our powers, namely Chachma, faith in God, awareness of God, conscience. This is the beginning of our service of God. Intuition, feeling that God exists above understanding. That's the first sea. The last sea, last ocean inside of us is Achrit Shel HaKochot. This is the power of deed, action. How we can actually bring things into action, into the world. The service of man to God is not complete until a person rules over and controls from the highest of his God-given powers, namely the highest of his intellect, awareness, the power of Chachma, we said, until the last power, which is action, deed. In other words, you want God to be revealed in the whole world? The Tanya says it depends on us. So we have to make God, first of all, revealed in ourselves. Now, God is, of course, creating everyone, and God is creating everything, and there's nothing outside of God. So God is already everywhere. So it's not that hard of a task. We just have to reveal God. It's not we have to make him here. But that fact that God will be revealed, and there's also an aspect that God reacts. He brings from his concealment things that are not revealed in the world, that they will be revealed in the world. But that depends on us working on our personality. What does it mean, our personality? From our chachma until our action. He explains a little more. But chachma, let's say in a general way, chachma is our general axioms and, how do you say, understanding of the world. What's our basic attitude? Oh, our basic hidden attitude toward the world. That's chachma. Our attitude toward life. Our attitude toward good and bad. In its essence, that's called chachma. That's the beginning of everything. And Maisa is how it actually comes out, what we actually do. A lot of times people can have wonderful ideas and very pristine goals, and they just don't do it. Procrastination, or the world the diverts you, kalomar, bribery. The world bribes you. Kalomar, in other words, techilas akol in the beginning, first of all, a person has to be rode b'kochacham. You have to rule over your intellect, your concept of what reality is. Sheyeh kula b'kedusha, that it has to be in holiness. What is reality? Reality is God is creating everything. Reality is God's will. Because the whole conduct of a person, the kol pratah and all of its details depends on a person's intellect, his attitude toward the world, his concept of what reality is, what life is about. And then when he has the proper attitude, then his brain, his attitude can rule over his heart. L'shomru, to protect him from desires, etc., bad desires, etc. Right? So for instance, someone comes and tells there's no value that's higher than family and children. So someone comes and says to him, let's have a good time. This is no, family and children. I'm sorry, I have to be loyal to my family, my wife. I have to be loyal to my children. I have to be loyal. But here you got a big chance. You can make some money. You can be said, no, my it's his baseball game today. I have to go to the family is the most important. This is very important to my family. So if that becomes his main value, then it keeps him on on a clear path that he can turn from bad, he can do good, etc. So his attitude that's the beginning of man. That's the beginning. Okay, that's the highest. So we have to control that so that it's given over to the Creator. Okay, but on the other hand, 1 second. So what the Rebbe is trying to tell us here is that coming of the Moshiach and changing the world, it depends on our fixing up our personality. First of all, starting off with our attitude, our basic values. But on the other hand, okay, so our basic values so that they're in tune with God. In other words, God is creating me. I'm going to do what God says. How do you know what God says? It says in the Torah. There's a lot of other books also. They're lies. You have to do what it says in the Torah. 7 Noahide commandments for the non-Jews, the whole Torah for the Jews. That's what God wants. That's my number one priority. That's what's called the first ocean. But on the other hand, it has to come down into what's called the last ocean, Yom Acharon. The last ocean, that's what you actually do. Kafisha Roim, like we can see clearly, She'efsha, that it's possible that in a person's mind and his decisions that he makes, a person understands very well how he should act and what he should do, but he can't control himself. To actually do it. Right? He wants to go to his son's, his graduation or something, and his friend said, come on, let's go, come on, let's have a good time, forget about your family. I can't, no, you know what, we'll pay your way, come, let's go to Bermuda, let's go. No, I can't do it. There's going to be a big business opportunities over there. It's going to be a lot of fun. And suddenly, he all of a sudden, his principles get derailed. So we can see that sometimes a person's personality, his principles in life, and his decisions, what's called the first ocean, gets fixed up. I'm going to do what God says. God says family is important. I'm going to do. But all of a sudden, when his action comes to do it, he gets a little bit lazy. He gets a little bit bribed. He gets a little bit confused. But so therefore you have to fix that up also. The efshar sheyelo regesh tov, that he could have everything, a good feeling and a positive attitude toward everything in holiness, including his good thoughts, also good speech, but nevertheless it doesn't come to action. So you have to fix that up also and actually do what you understand. So that's from the first sea, from the first ocean. That's your understanding, your attitude. And to the last ocean, which is your action, how it actually comes out. That's what it says. That how are we going to bring Mashiach? That he's going to rule from sea to the ocean to the ocean? Is we have to first of all rule over our ocean to ocean, our mind and our deeds. That's what it means that the service of man also has to be from the ocean to the ocean, sea to the sea. It's impossible for a service of man to be complete unless he rules over and controls these two poles of his personality, from the first ocean, namely his intellect, until the last ocean, which is his deed. But calls it, all this is in the person himself. Also, the power of when he does things, when he actually comes to actually do and produce what his attitude says he should do, or refrain from what his attitude says he should. These are things which are outside of him. It's possible that the intention why he's doing something, it's not in order to really affect the world that's outside of him. I'm doing my part. This is only he's doing with himself. That the test is Shu Chadur Kolel B'Kedusha. What's the sign if you're really doing things for the right reason? When it actually comes to deed. And here I'll tell you a short story, which I think everybody knows the story, but I'll tell you it again. There was once, this was in like the early 1900s, and it was the first, the fifth Rebbe of Chabad, the Rebbe Rashab, the previous Rebbe's father. And the Russian government, this was before communism, and the Russian government was always anti-Semitic. So the Russian government made a decree that all of the Jewish children, or in education, in any case, they had to put secular education as well. Or all the rabbis had to get a diploma from the universities, whatever. And they made a big gathering together, and all the rabbis they said, we're going to stand fast. And there came in a big official to the meeting. All the rabbis, there was 100 rabbis, 200 rabbis, and they were all steadfast. We're never going to change. And there came an official into the meeting. I think that it was Stalipin himself. He was a very evil person, and he was a very powerful person, and he was murderous. He killed people, no problem. And he had a big army of soldiers to carry out his will. And he came and he said that I hope you'll decide to agree with the decree that has been made by His Majesty the Tsar, because if not, I've heard that there's being planned pogroms against the Jews. Of course, he was the one that was planning it. Pogroms against the Jews. And if you don't agree to this, it's going to be very difficult for us to protect you. So, and then he left. So immediately all the rabbis changed their minds. They said, listen, we can't, just because we'll figure out a way. We'll forge, diplomas, and we'll teach a little bit. We'll figure out a way around it. And the Rebbe Rashab said, Al tigu b'Mashiach. You cannot. No one has a power to change our customs, and for sure not our education for the children, right? For our education children, it's a thing that we have to defy, no matter what the danger is. And he fainted. He gave a whole speech and he fainted. The same speech, by the way, was said by the previous Lubavitcher Rebbe when he got on the train to go to exile. He said, he quoted it word for word. He said, God should be with us like he was with our fathers, give us power that we should have self-sacrifice, and not to change, and he fainted. So they had to take him to his room, and he didn't feel good. And afterwards, the other rabbis came to comfort him and say, and he was crying. And they said, Lubavitcher Rebbe, you don't have to cry. You did the most. We did the most that we could. And the Rebbe said, but the decree was not negated. In the end, it was negated. He said, but the decree was not negated. Right? Good. We did what we had to do. From our point, is it was done. We couldn't do any more than what we did. right? So, okay, I fixed up myself, but the world is not fixed up. The decree still remains, right? That's what makes me feel. So he said, therefore, sometimes a person can do things and he can do the most, but it doesn't come out the results aren't there. The results aren't there. He tried to build a school. He tried to influence people to do commandments. He tried to do it, and it didn't work. So he said, okay, I did my part. What can I do? So he says, no, that's what it means. That's why it says, King David says in the end, it's not just good enough to rule from the ocean to the ocean. You also have to rule from the river to the ends of the earth. It has to be also from the Nahar ad Afse Oretz. What does it mean? That you can fix yourself up from the ocean, the highest attitudes and ideals and values you have devoted totally to God. And even your deeds are totally devoted to God. That's from the ocean to the ocean. Said, but it doesn't go from the river to the sea, from the river to the ends of the earth. It doesn't go from the, that's why King David added on, from the river to the, what's the river to the ends of the earth? We said before in the name of the Evan Ezra. Ezra. It says, Nahar, the river, that's the river that came out from Eden. That's what the Evan Ezra said. From Evan Ezra is one of the explanations of the Torah. He lived in the same time, I think, as Rashi. He lived in the same time as Rashi. A tremendous genius, holy person. But his explanation did not become as popular as Rashi did. So it said the river, he was explaining what King David said. From the sea to the sea, he says from the first sea to the last sea, from the first ocean to the last ocean, which explain that. And what King David says from the river to the end of the earth is the river, that's the river that went out from Eden when God created the world, that watered the garden where Adam was. This idea of the river going out from Eden is, like it says, lahashkot et hagan. It came to water the garden, but to irrigate the garden. That was the garden where Adam was, Gan Eden. Shetechilat Bria, in the beginning of the creation, it was the place where Adam was. But Yanicheu Gan Eden, that God put Adam in Gan Eden to work and to preserve the garden. And in general, this refers to the whole world. The world is called my garden, the garden of God. That's the world, the physical world. Like it says, King Solomon said, Bati Lagani Achoti Kala. God says when the temple was built, God said, I've come back to my garden again. I've come back to my garden. Adam drove me away, and now my presence was in the world. But when Moses built the tabernacle, it says, I've come back to my garden. That's our job. That's the essence of man, is to serve God, and to serve God by what? By working in the world, improving the world, and protecting the world. The world. That's what God wants us to be here in this world. By means of refining and clarifying the world. In other words, everything in the world you use, including yourself, everything in the world you use for what God wants. You don't steal, you don't lie. He brings about in the whole entire world that it should be recognized that the world is a garden of God. And that's what King David adds on, that you want to bring Moshiach. So first of all, you have to rule from the first ocean to the last ocean. Fix yourself up so that your attitude is proper and that your deeds, what you do, are proper. And that's not enough. You also have to rule from the sea, from the river, until the ends of the earth. What does it mean? That it's forbidden for a person to close himself up, and he is what's called his in his little area, and not to think about the rest of the world. You have to go out like the river. You have to go out and water the garden. The garden is this world. When say, you should not just think about yourself. Ani et nafshi itzalti. I saved myself. I saved myself. I don't do sins. I do only good things. I learn the Torah. I do the commandments. I have a family. I do what I'm supposed to do. And, I try. It would be nice if the world got fixed up, but that's not my problem. Says the Rebbe, no, it's not you. That's wrong. You have to fix up yourself from the first ocean to the last ocean, but also you have to go out and water the garden. The garden is the world. A person has to work in the world, lahashkot et hagan, to irrigate, to water the garden. That's this world. Namely what? Not just to work on yourself, but to refine and clarify the world itself. Et kol olam kulo ad afse oretz, until the end of the world. There are people that are just waiting for you to ask them, let's learn a little bit of Torah. Let's do a commandment. Come put on tefillin. Here's a nice sentence of the Torah. What do you say about maybe coming to my synagogue to pray on Shabbos? Maybe come to my house for Shabbos. Maybe come to my place of learning, right? My Beit HaMidrash, and we'll teach you. We have young boys, they'll sit with you and they'll teach you 5 minutes, 3 minutes. What do you say? Fix up the world. That's the point. This service, this is what will bring to completion of the Mashiach. Our work on ourselves, this is what will cause God to react and send Mashiach, like it says, Vayered, that he will rule from the sea to the sea, and from the river, the one out of Eden, that it water until the ends of the earth. Shenosav al shlemo shel Mashiach. Not only will Mashiach himself be a complete person, like it says, Yaskil, consider my servant, Yoram v'nisa v'gavo ma'od. He is elevated and high and excellent very much. But yitaken et olam, like the Rambam says, Mashiach will fix up the whole entire world to serve God together. Like it says, Ki aza foch ala amim, I will transform all nations to call all of them in the name of God. All mankind will be connected to their Creator. It'll be a positive world, dynamic, unique. Begeula mitit v'shlema, in the future redemption, immediately now. But it depends on our working on ourselves to fix up from the first ocean, namely our attitude toward the world, our ideas, to the last ocean, to our deeds. And not enough that we just fix up ourselves, but also to assure that it goes out of ourselves to the ends of the earth, and we fix up as much as we possibly can, every person we can, every situation we're in. And that's what's going to cause God to react and bring Mashiach. And personally, I think we've already pretty much done this. I mean, considering also one of the things of Mashiach is that he's going to convince all the Jews to do all these things. So, I think that, like the Rebbe said, that the critical mass of Jews has already been reached, and it's not understandable why Mashiach doesn't come. But nevertheless, we still have to continue working on ourselves and fixing up our attitude and our actions, and even assuring that our actions have real results in the world. That's Mashiach now. Okay, now let's turn this on, stop the share.